Hello, beautiful human. I'm Zach. That's Santa. We welcome to the studio for the first time ever in a brand new space. Billy Porter.
Hey.
Amazing. Hi, everybody.
It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Why are we making music right now?
Well, I've always been making music.
Of course.
I've never stopped making music. You know, and what's interesting about the journey is that life is about rebounding, right? Being an artist is about resilience. Living in this world is about resilience. If you fall down, you got to get back up. My first R&B album, Mainstream, came out in 1997.
At a time where people didn't want you to make music.
No, they didn't want me to live in the fullness of my authenticity while making the music. You know, the industry was very homophobic, violently so, and I was just dismissed, but literally because of my sexuality. And now I can talk about it now without sounding like a hater.
What were they pitching you? What lane, what formula did
R&B.
they want you to fill?
R&B. 90s R&B. What was 90s R&B? Go back. Were you alive? What was 90s?
I was born in 93, so.
Right. So you weren't there for 90s R&B, really. No. You know, 90s R&B was about as masculine as you can be.
Yeah.
As toxically masculine before we had those words. You know, we're talking Usher, who's brilliant. Yeah. You know, we're talking R. Kelly, and we know what happened there. You know what I mean? So it's like, there was just not a place for me because nobody was interested in the art.
Did you?
At the moment, everybody was interested in who I was sleeping with on my free time, which didn't have anything to do with anybody else. And so what was interesting was that, like I said, I was dismissed. I was put out. And blessedly, I'm so multi-hyphenated and have always been multi-hyphenated that I could do other stuff. Can I cuss on this show?
Yes, you can.
I could do other shit.
You're on your way to a fucking EGOT.
I could do other shit, so I did that other shit. Right? And now, 27 years later, the world changed, has expanded. I always say I'm grateful that I got the opportunity to live long enough to live inside of this expansion and this change, right? Because I'm one of the, and it's not lost on me that I'm one of the people who's a part of the generation that kicked the door down.
Totally.
And it's not lost on me that I get to be a part of that generation that moved the needle, and I also get to benefit from the trails that my generation helped to blaze. And that doesn't happen often.
No, 100%. And to be fair, you were living your truth at a time where you watched so many of your friends die or be attacked, or, I mean, you lost people closest to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I lost more friends during the AIDS crisis by the age of 21 than my 85-year-old grandmother had. Yes. It was traumatic. And true to American form, when the antiretroviral drugs came out in 96, everybody just wanted to act like it never even happened. That's a problem for us in America. That's a problem. You know, and we see it everywhere. It's like slavery didn't happen. That's what we're doing right now, right? The powers that be. Oh, slavery was good for Black people. They got great skills from it. Fuck that. No. You know, and so what I love about this moment is that they came to me. The music business came back to me because I kept going. I made 3 records. I made 3 albums on my own without needing anything from the music industry, because the good news about the internet is that it democratized a lot of shit.
100%.
It did. For better or for worse, it democratized a lot of stuff. So I was able to stay engaged with my audiences and do it myself. So now, with the muscle of Republic Records here in America, an island in the UK, I get to do it on my own terms. Here I get to show up. Black Mona Lisa is the title of the album. After 27 years, I'm returning to the mainstream pop music space on my own Black faggoty terms. And I use faggoty as a term of endearment, honey. I can use it just like I can use the N-word. Y'all can't if you're not gay. You can't use the word faggot if you're not gay.
You believe that?
Yes. It's one of those terms where we're reclaiming the word of our oppressors.
Yeah.
Just like the N-word in the hip-hop community. It's only as I've gotten older that I've started to actually do that. Because I was one of, because I'm 54, so I was one of those people who were like, you can't use the N-word. You can't, it's like, and the older I get, I'm like, no, actually, I understand the point of it now. I understand why, particularly in the hip-hop community, they reframed that word. Taking the power out of the word of your oppressor. Use it differently.
What fuels the clarity behind your understanding of that?
Age. Age. I've been around a long time. Black don't crack, and I don't look like what I've been through. And I'm over half a century old. I am 54 years old, for real. And I talk about it because our culture is so ageist.
It's true.
That very often, people don't think that once you get to a certain age, you don't have any value. I have all the value because I have wisdom, I have experience, and I'm still snatched right on up.
I could argue that you have more value today than you did when you won Star Search, which I had no idea was even on your resume.
Yes, I do.
In 92.
1992, honey. Before the, what's it, American Idol, honey. We were the original American Idol. Maybe not the original, but for that generation. Yeah.
So, you make your way there, and then you get into obviously you start making music from there, right? You get taken by the record label. It becomes an experience that is
toxic and traumatizing,
and eye-opening to the harsh reality of the culture and the world at that time.
Yes,
but you find solace on Broadway.
Ish, yes. I mean, the journey in all of the spaces has been quite tumultuous. And it's been about me as an artist and as a human being getting clear. The clarity of one's own worth, self-love, knowing, my purpose.
Does Broadway help in any of that?
Yeah, my purpose, my calling, dare I say my ministry, and I do. But Broadway wasn't giving me what I needed either. Explain. For a long time.
How so? Where did it lack?
When I came out, there was no such thing as a Hamilton for minority people who had gone to Carnegie Mellon in training programs, like all my white counterparts who got to graduate and get into shows that there were characters. There were three-dimensional human beings that they got to play. Totally. If it wasn't a musical review, my black ass wasn't in it on Broadway. I talk about going into the revival of Grease at 24 years old. I played the teen angel. They get beauty school dropout. They gave me carte blanche to rearrange it however I wanted. That was supposed to be a good thing until they put me in 14 inches of orange rubber hair and a spacesuit to prance around like a little Richard Automaton on crack. So I'm a clown. I'm a coon. I call it the Millennium Coon Show in my memoir because it was. The original white man who played that part wore a suit. Just a white suit and a pompadour. Why did you have to turn me into whatever that is, right? And so for me, it became about where's my humanity? Where's my human being that I get to play? And when I demanded that, the work dried up, just like in the music industry. So my 30s, I call my valley period because there wasn't anything for me to do in the music industry or in theater. And so, but what I love about that moment is that because the success did not come in the way that I thought I was entitled to have it come, because of my talent. Let's just talk about that. Ego,
Totally.
right? I had to check my ego and go, I have to understand how to re-enter this market and love myself enough to teach other people how to treat me and how to love me back. That's what Maya Angelou said. So it was in my 30s that I was able to go, oh, right, I'm going to take myself out of the toxic masculinity game. I don't need to be in that game anymore. I don't need to be in that fight anymore. I'm never going to be masculine enough in other people's eyes to exist or be worthy of existing on this planet. So I'm going to take myself out of that game and I'm going to create my own lane and I'm going to fill the space that's empty. The first time I ever saw a Black queer character who wasn't the butt of the joke, the one who was to be reviled or beat up or murdered, was Tony Kushner's Angels in America. I saw that play on Broadway when I was 24 years old, and I didn't even know that I needed to see Jeffrey Wright in the role of Belize. If you don't know what this is, you got to go to HBO and watch it.
You have to.
You have to watch the 6-part series.
And it's a Broadway show that's in 2 parts, right? You go back twice.
7 hours, yeah. And it's about the AIDS crisis, and it's about Roy Cohn. It's about a lot of stuff. And I saw Jeffrey Wright embody that character so brilliantly. And I realized, oh, that's the kind of work that I need. That's the change I need. I didn't even know what I was looking for. I just knew that I wasn't fulfilled playing the teen angel in Grease. I was not fulfilled. And it was seeing that play that put everything into focus, the clarity of focus for me. And so in my 30s, I went back to grad school, UCLA, screenwriting program.
Baller.
I started directing theater. I did a workbook called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. 12-week workbook in the excavation of creativity and the truth of what it is that you really want. And so for everybody, her theory is everybody's creative. And we have to tap into whatever that is specifically. But those of us who are already creative, how do we get specific with what our desires are and how we engage in that? And for me, it was getting clear, the very thing that everybody is telling me is my liability, which is my queerness. Everybody said my queerness would be my liability, allies and haters alike. And they were right. For decades, they were right until they weren't. And now my queerness is my liability. And I know for certain, my queerness is my superpower. And I know for certain that has a lot to do with the choices that I made over 20 years ago about myself and for myself. I was watching Oprah, and she had on Jan Van Sant and Maya Angelou on, and they were talking about service. And their theory is that when we shift our intentions of our lives to service, everything else will work itself out.
It's true.
And I was like, okay, well, what does that look like in my life?
Because it's different to everybody.
It's different for everybody. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. It's your queerness. It's that thing that everybody's telling you is your liability. Be brave, be bold, be courageous, and choose that. It wasn't fast, me getting here. This is 2000, I chose that. It wasn't fast getting here. It wasn't fast receiving the fruits of that choice and that labor. It wasn't fast. And I will say, where I'm at now is the greatest version of anything that I ever thought it could be, right? Because I was told those things, I was just trying to be straight enough in everybody's eyes so I could eat. And when I released that, ultimately, the things changed. Everything changed. After decades, please know, it ain't fast. It's not this microwave thing that we're so used to with this instant gratification from our internet practices and all of that stuff. It's not fast. And I'm grateful that it's not and that it wasn't. Because at my age, I'm ready for all of this. And you got to be ready. When it comes like it's been coming for me, you got to be ready or it destroys you. It.
What is the it and what does ready really mean?
Fame and celebrity.
That is the it.
You know, it's like, it's not. I'm an artist first. Sometimes when you're successful as an artist, the byproduct can be some sort of celebrity or fame. Sometimes.
Totally.
Not always, but sometimes. For me, it's a byproduct, right? I've always been able to associate whatever this is as a byproduct. So when it finally did happen, in the way that it's happened to me, I understand what it means. I've lived long enough to understand how to navigate this space, which is really difficult. You know, it's a very, very difficult space. It's rarefied air. But it's hard to explain.
Is it something you know, or is there something that you figure out on the daily?
You figure it out on the daily. But there's also a knowing. When you've lived long enough to understand, this I know, this I know, and there's an evolution. But because I've lived long enough and because I've had such a long career, I can see shit coming now.
So
and go, no, not this time. I know what that is. You know, it's experience.
Of course.
Yeah, it's the
100%.
experience.
Yeah, you have to experience and navigate through total shit, the worst possible situations for you to have this like awareness and this sense of when and if it can happen again. And like that applies to people, that applies to situations,
Everything.
that applies to opportunity, literally all of it.
Yeah, and I've lived, you know, and like I said, now I get to do it on my own terms. And I am confident in understanding and knowing to the best that I can how to navigate these really treacherous waters of celebrity and take care of myself in the process.
So how do both those things factor into coming out and talking about being diagnosed with AIDS and living with that?
HIV.
HIV, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
HIV positive.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. To be able to stand in front of the world and say that.
Yeah, I mean, the strength.
Is what I'm talking about.
Totally.
That's what I mean, right? They want the thing that drags people down is the gotcha. The minute there's a gotcha in the press, everybody's with you, and then you get to the top, and people are sick of you being at the top. So the first thing they want to do is bring you down. I was talking to my brilliant, and this speaks to the why. I was talking to my brilliant publicist, Simon Halls, from Slate PR. And we were figuring out the year, 2021. This was like January. And I said to him, so I'm doing this and this and this and this. And then in October, my memoir will be coming out, and I'll be coming out HIV positive in the memoir. This was October. He says, stop. This was going to happen in October. We're talking in like late January now, or early January.
Got it.
He says, okay, I have to stop you. Here's the issue with that. You're playing a person on television who has full-blown AIDS and dies. If you die in June on television from AIDS complications, as pray tell, and you don't come out to the world as HIV positive yourself until October, the cynical press will take you down. It's not fair. And the reason why you've catapulted to A-list celebrity status so quickly post having lived your life is because everything that comes out of your mouth is the truth. Unapologetically the truth. That is your brand.
Totally.
So they will be able to, gotcha. You lied. That's what I get to be at 54 years old. I get to be able to dissect situations like that before they even happen and make the right choice. There ain't no gotcha. Yeah. I'm telling on myself before any of you get this information.
No, you're proactive.
And think that you have something on me.
You're not defensive.
Y'all don't have nothing on me.
You're offensive, yeah.
Right.
Totally.
And that's been such a gift. It's been such a gift, and that is not something that I had when I was younger. I did not respond this way.
Can I ask, how do you keep that to yourself after all these years and still have the ability to take a handle of that narrative and do it on your terms? Because that's a luxury that many aren't given, right? When they become a celebrity or choose to just live a life.
Because it took so long. I lived 48 years of my life before Pose. I did theater. You're famous for a 10-block radius.
Yeah, it's so true.
That 10-block radius, everybody knew who I was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I crossed over with Pose on national television that then this light began to shine on me in this way. I'm already fully formed. I'm already fully formed at 50. I won an Emmy at 49 years old. I'm already fully formed, y'all. You can't come into this space.
It's true.
And fuck with me.
Do you have an appreciation for Lola? How it is?
Yes.
That changes your life.
Lola was the redemption. The whole thing is redemptive.
Yeah.
Everything is redemptive
But
for me. But this was the start of that process. Because it was the original dream. One of the original dreams come true. One of the original dreams that in my expansion of allowing myself to dream something different.
Dream something that's rooted in your truth.
Yes, but also dream something that I didn't start dreaming at 11.
Yeah, of course.
My first original dreams I made when I was 11. It wasn't until I was 30 where I was like, oh, those dreams can expand now. They probably should. And so in that expansion was when I started making all of these different choices. So because I chose myself, and inside of that self, it's my queerness, I was living out loud and proud and queer for decades. So when it came around to play a drag queen called Lola in Kinky Boots, there wasn't anybody else who it could be who would show up and ground this archetype that the world had never seen before. And we don't talk about that part of it.
It's true.
But nobody had ever seen this Black queer, drag artist as the lead in a Broadway show. The heart of it. Number 1 on the call sheet. Best lead actor in a musical is what I won. Not supporting. Right? It's like we had never seen it before. And I spent my life not getting cast in shit because I was Black. So, there were characters that existed, whether it's Hairspray, whether it's La Cage aux Folles, there's a long lineage of white men, straight men dressing up in dresses. Tootsie,
That's
whatever
so
it is. There's the English panto is rooted and based in straight men.
Yeah.
Particularly straight men showing up in dresses for everybody's entertainment and comedic purposes. Once again, clowning. When you do it well, there's a space for it. Tootsie is one of my favorite movies ever. And when Kinky Boots happened, it was the first time that this archetype was gay and not fat.
It's true.
And not laughing at her. She was sexy. She was, and I fought to make sure that my version of Lola was received as being queer.
And ends up becoming the standard version of the character that is adopted for many, many people to come, right?
Mm-hmm.
You set
and
the tone.
the brilliance of it is that you can go back to the other version too. You know, Wayne Brady replaced me. At the time, he wasn't out as whatever he is now. He's like a
pansexual.
Like pansexual. He wasn't out as pansexual. So he was playing it like Flip Wilson. He was playing it like a straight guy in a dress. And it worked brilliantly. So
what is that like to sit in the audience and watch other performers take on a role that you originated?
I don't. It's weird. It's
weird, right?
fabulous and very strange.
It's flattering, but also kind of fuck you.
It's not a fuck you, because the whole point of having other people be able to play the role means that you created a successful character. You want people to be able to keep playing this role. I'm in the zeitgeist now.
Fuck yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's a gift and it's a blessing to see that happen. You want it to keep going when you're not in it. Now, to be able to get a portion of that payment would be great.
Because that doesn't happen, right?
I'm not doing that anymore unless I do get a part of the payment.
Yeah.
Which is what all those actors were fighting for in Hamilton, which they did get, if we remember that process. They got it. They fought for it and they got it.
Well, it is a really important conversation, right? Because the origination of these characters and these brands, you know, yes, on writing and in a script and in a song, it is one thing, but to be brought to life for the very first time, right, in front of so many people and to set the standard. It's a big deal. You know, Idina Menzel has come on our show a few times, and it's a discussion that we get in with her, you know? Last I checked, she originated 2 incredible roles.
I don't think she got a piece of that.
I don't think so either.
She didn't get a piece of either one of them.
No.
I'm not doing no more Broadway shows unless I get a piece of it. Now I can say that.
Yeah.
Because I'm the bitch.
What was it like playing Aubrey 2?
Audrey 2 was great. It was fun. And I got fired before we got to Broadway. So
Did you really?
I did, yeah.
Why?
Because we were out of town and the director got fired and the new director came in. And, you know, my version of it was based and rooted on me. The stage version of that show is based on what the largest puppet can do.
100%.
And they built the large puppet originally for a person to be standing inside of it and move the mouth up and down like this.
But you weren't doing that,
Let
were
me
you?
finish. No, I wasn't doing that. But the mouth is moving up and down like this. There's a puppeteer in the mouth. The big plant has no articulation in the lips. So the reason why he became a basso buffundo voice in the play version is because that's the only thing that matches a mouth doing that. With no articulation in the lips. So I was playing it more like the film. You know, where I'm taking on all different kinds of characters. I'm not a bass. But when you put it up against this,
it doesn't hit.
It doesn't hit. And they spent $1 million on the puppet to do exactly the same thing that they had done 25 years prior. Stupid.
Yeah. Wow.
Stupid.
Wow.
And so what I was doing, while brilliant, did not match with the puppet.
Oh, that sucks.
And couldn't match with the puppet. And they already spent $1 million on it. So I got fired.
I would have loved to
and
have
they
seen the
hired a bass
version.
again.
Yeah. I saw it when it the revival on Broadway. Mm-hmm. When I was a wee little child. It was fucking amazing.
Are we going to talk about my music?
Oh, we're going to get into it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I don't know how long this goes.
No, we got time.
So I'm like, are we getting to the end? Are we? Because we got to talk about the music, baby.
Well, I want to know how the stories reflect in what I've listened to now twice, right?
You listen to the whole album?
Yeah, of course.
Amazing.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Listen.
I'm not going to invite somebody here. That's so rude.
No, listen.
That's
You'd
mean.
be surprised.
No, okay. I know what else is
You'd
out
be
there.
surprised.
I have an idea. Yeah, I do have an idea.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, baby.
So you really have nothing to hide. There's like no mystery surrounding you, but the Mona Lisa is one of the most mysterious paintings of all time. So how do you get to the black Mona Lisa?
So I was working with Justin Tranter, which I'm sure you and your audiences know very well.
Yeah.
And we just clicked. You know, he's out, he's queer, he's femme, he's, you know, he went through it with his rock band, what I went through. So, like, we're fucking shit up. We're changing all of it. The faggots are here. We're here, we're queer, get used to it. And and can't nobody touch us. So we've been, over the last couple of years, like really like, ah. So we were in the room with his, with the team, and we were looking for a title track. We had written like 6 or 7 songs, a lot of songs, and we were like, we need something that like pops, a title track. And for whatever reason, I can't even remember, and he can't, but like Black Mona Lisa, the title fell out of the sky. And when you're writing, I'm sure you've heard it's not linear. It doesn't happen the same way every time. You leave you're the vessel, and you try to leave the space open for the energy to flow through you. So Black Mona Lisa showed up in the space. The whole room went completely quiet for like 30 seconds, which is a long time. And then 20 minutes later, we had written the song. And I didn't know what it meant in the larger context yet. But as I started listening to it, I understood, oh, right. The Mona Lisa, the original, is relevant. Past, present, future, and forever.
Mm.
That's what I want my legacy to be.
It's timeless.
It's timeless forever. That's what I want my legacy to be. The audacity, right?
But yeah, so
the audacity to say that shit out loud, right?
And then to boil it down to an album, essentially.
Yes. That's what we supposed to do.
So it starts with Black Mona Lisa.
Well.
No? Where does it begin?
Did you?
Broke.
No. What song was made first in the process?
Broke a Sweat was actually written first.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What I was saying is we were a year plus into writing the album. And when we had this session, the goal was, what is the standout album title single thing? So we had already been writing for about a year. So this came later in the process.
And, okay. What's the last song you made for the album?
Audacity was the last one we wrote.
Why was it needed?
Because while this is a pop album, has lots of bops on it, it's very eclectic in terms of style and tone. The thing that makes it all cohesive is me. Because once again, I've lived my entire life. I've sung in all of the genres. I've recorded in all of the genres. So like, that was interesting because it had originally started out being a house music disco record, and the universe stepped in. God, the universe, whatever you believe in, and said, we're gonna move you away from that. Because Beyonce's doing that. And your little black ass will be buried if you try to do that coming behind her. So we're going to expand you a little bit, and so Audacity, Stranger Things.
So good.
More to Learn in particular are specifically for my theatrically based audiences.
I love Stranger Things, and I heard that in there.
Because I might be confusing to them right now, because I hit in the theater before I hit in this space.
Yeah.
So a huge swath of my audience are based in theater. They like storytelling music. All of this is storytelling. And it doesn't necessarily sound like what they're used to having their music coming from me sound. So with Stranger Things and More to Learn and Audacity, those 3 songs are rooted and based in a very specific theatrical place. Audacity, for me, is the golden nugget. It's that thing after you've heard all of it. It's the thing that distills the why for everything that came before it.
But it doesn't end the album.
It does end the album.
Oh, it's
What order did you hear
Well,
this
no,
album
on our
in?
track was the new version of Children ends the album.
That's a bonus track.
Deluxe. Got it.
That's a
Understood.
bonus track.
Understood.
But the album ends with Audacity.
Okay.
I don't know if because the whole Lady Blackbird feature came so recently that the album had already been
Totally.
formatted. And but yeah, so Audacity really is about owning your shit. The hip hop community flexes in almost every song. And I have never in my life talked about myself in the way that I talk about myself on this album. I've never flexed. I've never bragged. I've never done any of that. I've never even cussed in my own music. I'm cussing on this album. I'm talking shit. I'm
You do it in a
honoring
classy way.
yeah, and thank you. And I'm honoring myself. And Audacity, the lyrics are really about having the audacity to sit in the fullness of your authenticity and speak about it. I can't do what I'm supposed to do on this earth unless I know it and I can speak about it. And the thing that happens, and one of the things that I see, is that when you are a person who exists in a community where people on the outside think you're not worthy, the minute you start speaking life into yourself, they charge you with being arrogant and narcissistic. So one must have the audacity to say it anyway.
It's true.
I'm going to say it anyway, because y'all ain't. And the systemic nature of what happens to people like me, people of color, and, any marginalized community, and how our contributions to society and culture are erased. I'm not having that anymore. I'm not having that anymore. Audacity speaks to that. Don't come for me unless I send for you. If I did it, I'm going to say I did it, i.e., the Oscar dress.
Iconic.
I did that for this generation. I re-entered that non-gender, that genderless, I'm a part of the de-gendering of fashion movement.
It's true.
I'm a leader in that.
When do you realize
and
that's
I'm
happening?
say it out loud, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when do you realize that that's your place in this zeitgeist? Or one of the places, or one of the roles you have?
I just realized it. You live long enough and you realize.
Yeah, you look back.
You live long enough and you and one can, and be present.
Yeah.
I've been working through my shit, y'all. Trauma therapy all the way through COVID, healing, trying to heal myself so that I can be the best version of myself.
Can we talk about children?
Yes.
How does that record begin? Where are you at when you need to write that?
Well, that's the one song on the album that I didn't write.
Truth. But it sounds so personal.
I know, because I was with M&EK.
Oh, he's so
He's
talented.
unbelievable
What
and
a gift.
talented.
Yeah.
And we
What a gift.
wrote I'm Not Ashamed Anymore in England.
Oh, wow.
First. And I was there. It was 2021. It was like May. And I was really anxious and I couldn't, why am I so anxious? What is going on? And then I realized, I'm coming out HIV positive to the world next week.
Casual. But
And I had done all of the press and all of the photos and all of that stuff 2 or 3 months prior. So I had sort of forgotten when. So I told him that and we were like, oh shit. So we wrote Not Ashamed Anymore. And then I left. And then a week later, I got a demo for children. And I was like, this sounds like it literally came out of my mouth. And he said, you left and I couldn't get your cadence out of my head. I couldn't get your energy and your spirit. And so what we did was we created a beat. And he said, I went into the studio and just started talking like you. I just started talking in your cadence. I just started trying to repeat your cadence. And that's how Children came out.
That's wild.
I think it's just brilliant. It's
He's
so
a
brilliant.
gift.
It's so brilliant. He is brilliant. And he wrote it with Jade Thirlwell of Lil Mix.
Casual.
Yes.
But also, like, you work with him,
He's brilliant. And I can't wait to keep working with him.
a queer artist who, I mean, there's safety there, right? That's
Yes.
different.
Yes. There is a safety that did not exist the first time I was out. You know, I was not safe. It was violent. The homophobia was violent against me. It was violent. I had somebody say to me before, a record person say to me as I was in a dressing room getting ready to go on the Rosie O'Donnell show, don't speak. And then he caught himself. He was like, well, just try not to talk too much.
What are you supposed to do?
Because my version of speaking is how I talk right now.
Yeah.
And so because I don't sound like Snoop Dogg, because I'm not speaking in hip-hoppian language,
Vernacular.
in the vernacular, I'm a faggot. I didn't even have to do anything to be labeled that. All I had to do was show up. It was that violent. Don't talk. That ain't happening no more, bitches.
Can you explain the meaning of new shoes?
Yeah, New Shoes. So New Shoes is one of the Flexi songs. And I have to explain to people what I think is fascinating. Like I said, black don't crack. I don't look like what I've been through. People don't believe that I'm 54 years old. Because so many people got on the Billy Porter train at different stops, there are a lot of people that got on at Pose. That's like 5 years ago.
Totally.
I've been in this business for 30 plus years. So the first 25 years of my career, I was trying to get the gatekeepers of the industry to take me seriously as an actor. Now, all this time, I get that happening, and now I'm reading shit online that's like, oh, I didn't know Pray Tell could sing. Okay, so I have to re-educate bitches now. Singing is the original gift.
It's true.
Singing is the thing. Singing is the gift that gave me the courage
To do everything.
to do everything else. So it's been wonderful to come back to this and remind the world, as Dominique Jackson says in one of the first frames of Pose, who we are. It's time to remind the world who I am. So that's what I'm here doing. And it's just been so mad. It's really been, I have to say, this time around, redemptive and magical.
Well, you talk about how this music, and there is a sonic through line through most of the songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it spans genres, but it does give disco,
Yes.
it gives pop, it gives funk.
Yeah, all of it.
You've talked about reclaiming that as something that belongs to you. Because Dua Lipa's doing this. Other artists are out here taking on this genre, right?
Yeah.
What is it about this genre that's given you, I don't know, like,
Well, I was
What
born
is
in
this-
1969.
so disco?
And I was born in that disco era. I remember hearing Knock on Wood for the first time when I was like 6 at a family reunion, going, what in the, what is that? Right? And so then coming out in 1985 as gay and having to go straight to the front lines to fight for our lives during the AIDS crisis, the clubs were a safe haven for us.
Totally.
The clubs were like gay church. They weren't like gay church. They were gay church. It was where we went to heal. It was where we went for community. It was where we went to recharge so that we could go back out in the real world and fight. And so the survivor's guilt, right, of having lived through the AIDS crisis and wondering why I lived, the why has been revealed now, whether it's Pose, whether it's this music, whether it's my HIV status, that me coming to the forefront helps to destigmatize. This is what HIV looks like now. It's not 1985. So
There's so much power in that.
yeah, and
The ripple effect is really hard to even wrap your mind around.
it is hard. And I'm just grateful. And I'm grateful to see the world seeing me for real. Y'all see me for real. Finally. Like that's a thing.
And this album embodies who you are, right?
It certainly does.
So listen
It is from
to
the
it.
depths of my soul. And if you can, next Friday, I don't know when this is airing, but, November 17th, download the whole thing. Don't just be a single whore. Download the whole thing. Listen to it. I worked on it. It's an experience. It's a celebration of life and love and hope and joy and peace and compassion. It's healing. When you listen to it in the order that I put it, you will understand why by the time you get to the end. It's a complete and authentic, powerful journey, if I can say so myself.
Black Mona Lisa is waiting for you, and all of Billy Porter's music is on Amazon Music. There's going to be a link in the description below to listen to all of it. Is there a song that you made for this album that at the time of making it meant one thing, but at the time of its release means something totally different to you?
That happens to a lot of them, and that's such a great question. Audacity manages to expand for me every time I sing it. And going on the Black Mona Lisa tour this past May, Volume 1, Black Mona Lisa Tour Volume 1, 25 cities in 5 weeks. We smashed it.
Crazy. Only the way a Broadway performer could do it.
Everybody
dude.
was like, how are you going to? I was like, that's not your concern.
Yeah.
I can do this schedule.
You do.
My concern is where the fuck is my budget? Don't worry about whether I can do it or not.
You do 8 shows a
Give
week.
me my budget. I've been doing 8 shows a week for over 30 years. Don't worry about this schedule. I'm good.
It's true.
People worry about the wrong things when it comes to me. I gotta snatch them back.
Well, I think people don't understand the strength of a Broadway performer. Do you get what I'm saying?
8 shows a week.
Well, yeah, and I've seen it with my own friends who have gone on to be the biggest fucking pop stars and superstars in the world, fueled by great genuine talent and just star quality, but also supported by a work ethic that only somebody who does 8 shows a week could ever wrap their mind around.
You gotta have that work ethic. What was that last question? So I can.
We were
answer
talking
it?
about Audacity
Yes.
changing.
So, in the show, in my concert, I was presenting this new music and also re-educating. Educating and re-educating people about who I am. So they were in various different sections. The pop section at the top, into the old school R&B section where I did a medley of my first album, into the Kinky Boots section where so much of my audience, into the political section, because anybody who knows me knows that I am extremely political and extremely outspoken in speaking truth to power. Stranger Things was that. And Stranger Things, while I knew was a real political song, in the concert, it took on a different shape. And like the song would happen, and then I would go into this ad-libbed political Sermon on the Mount type rant where the band was behind me, and I was just, in a very Brechtian way, turning the mirror on the audience and going, it's time to show up. It's time to show up. Period. We can't, are y'all voting? Are you, so there was that, which was so, Because I'm a preacher at heart. I grew up in the Pentecostal church. I preached my first and last sermon when I was 10 years old. It's in my DNA. Like, I can't do it. My mother always says, you may have left the church, but every time you open up your mouth to sing, it ain't nothing but Jesus. She's so excited about that, and it's true. And so there was that, and then audacity at the end on the album. It's very stripped down, and very not particularly the choice that I would have made in terms of the production. But I also understand that the musicality of a real gospel version of that song, which is what that song is to me,
totally,
will be above the heads of the core audiences, some of the core audiences that I'm trying to get to. 100%. And I went to Kurt Carr, my dear friend, Grammy Award-winning contemporary gospel artist. I was like, come and produce this for me. Come and reproduce this. And he listened to it and he said, no, you got to do it like that on the album.
Really?
He said, you can do it differently you have to do it differently in concert, but you have to do it like this on the album because the mainstream audiences will be able to receive it.
It's palatable to them.
It's palatable. It's like Christina Aguilera's Beautiful. In that moment, it sits in a space like that, which is better for a more mainstream.
But that song could sit in any fucking...
Yeah, it can sit in any space. But when you see it in my show, it is like the full-on Kirk Franklin contemporary gospel praise and worship moment. And every night at the end of the concert, the audiences were on their feet, holding each other by the hand. The energy was all about
special
love and healing. And that's the song for me that the more I sing it, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper because it's personal. Yeah. And then it turns outward.
Yeah, what's yours becomes everybody else's, and their personal experience with it even strengthens yours, and it's a fucking cycle. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's also a high that's like really hard to duplicate, right?
Yeah. I'm just so excited about this, and I'm so grateful, that I get another shot. This is another shot for me.
That's the real deal.
Are you proud of your other albums, your previous albums?
I am proud of my albums. The Untitled was, even though, the first pop album, it was great.
Love is on the way.
Yeah, it was great. And then I did, self-produced sort of more Broadway orchestral kind of things, and I'm proud of all of it. And everybody should go and just do a Billy Porter download on Spotify.
No. Amazon Music.
I'm sorry, Amazon Music. Where am I? What? Cut that out.
It's all waiting for you.
Amazon Music.
All of Billy Porter's music is sitting in the link in the description below. Final thoughts?
Well, you mentioned very early on the Oscar. Is that high on your to-do list? Getting the EGOT?
Yeah. In the sense that it's about the art first. Mm-hmm. It's about the work first. If the work leads me to Oscar, that's great. I have a new film coming out with Luke Evans, December 8th, called Our Son. It's a divorced child custody drama in the spirit of Kramer versus Kramer, Marriage Story. I wrote a song. Luke Evans and I sang a gay love duet.
He's a singer?
Go on Amazon Music and download Luke Evans.
We'll put a link in the description below.
Put a link in the description. He sings his booty off. He comes from the contemporary musical theater space over on the West End.
Oh, wow.
He was in Rent, and before he became a film and television star. He sings his booty off. And I wrote this. Oh, this is interesting. It's not on this album, but it'll probably be on the vinyl version. But I wrote a song called Always Be My Man.
Ooh.
And I wrote it as a love song about a relationship that's going through trauma. And it's actually a breakup song.
It ripped from your reality?
Yes. And it's actually a breakup song. And it's in the spirit of a traditional love song, though.
Why is it on the vinyl and not the album?
Because it's with the movie.
Oh, got it.
It's with the movie, and the hope is that it will be able to be on the vinyl.
What is it like for something that's so ripped from your reality to be put into a movie where you usually play another character?
Are you talking about my divorce?
Well, yeah, I mean, you write a song about your breakup and now it's in a movie.
That's what we do, bitches.
Yeah, but that's different.
We're artists. That's what it's like. We live our lives and then we share them with you because the idea is there's a healing in it. There's a healing for other people, hopefully, in the retelling of my story. You know, my unprotected, my memoir is all about using my art to heal trauma. So
it's all in line with that.
That's what it's supposed to, that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
And we all get to listen to and experience it. Again,
Yes.
Link in the description below. All of Billy Porter's music.
On Amazon Music.
On Amazon Music. Really, thank you so much for giving us your time and energy today.
Thank you for having me once again. I can't wait to come back.
You're an icon. Yeah, our couch in our room is always open.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I appreciate you. You good?
Yeah, he's got to go.
Billy Porter, everybody.
Woo!